Have you totally fallen off with your running during quarantine? I know I did. Let's talk the King's Pyramid Run Challenge featuring Philip King. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Runway Podcast. I am your host, Kim, and I have a guest today. Please welcome Philip King to the show. Welcome, Philip.
Appreciate you.
How have you been?
Man, just like everybody else, dealing with the changing world that we're living in.
Mm-hmm. So tell our audience a little bit about yourself. Where are you from and where do you currently reside?
From Arkansas, live in Arkansas right now. I was born in Newport, Arkansas, which is kind of like the northeast corner of the state. Now I live in right outside of Little Rock in the suburb of Little Rock.
So you've been in Arkansas your whole life?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they can hear it by now.
Well, we can hear something. I don't know what it is, but we can hear it. That's for sure. Well, look, people say that I have a New York accent and I don't hear it. You hear it?
Nah, but you talk fast though.
Okay, so I'll slow down for you. I'm going to dig into my Southern roots for you. So what do you do for a living?
I work for UPS, so I drive for Brown.
I know all about that. My husband drives for Brown as well. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, we know all about those what do you call it? That lunch money that comes through?
See, why you gonna tell her? I was like, I can't believe she told on him like that. It depends on what route you got though. Like some routes pay out better than others for like the lunch money deal.
Mm-hmm. I am very familiar. I know the deal. So when did you start running and what made you get into running?
I started running in like 2016. It was like 2016, and at the time I had been divorced for like a year or two before that, and it was just like something to do to kind of get back to being me, because when you after a divorce, you kind of like you gotta trying to adjust back to where it's just you. And for me, I just wanted to challenge myself. It was like a bucket list thing. I had seen some of my friends had ran marathons or whatever, and so I was like, I'm gonna run a marathon before I turn 40, and I'm gonna run one after I turn 40.
Okay, so you had friends that were runners already?
Yeah, I had my cousin. She was doing like half marathon, and I kept telling her I was going to running one with her, but I never did. And I also had like another friend that I had worked with before. I used to see her post about doing 5K, 10K, stuff like that. So I was kind of interested then, but I just didn't have the time. Wasn't being lazy. You work at UPS, by the time you get home, you ain't got time. You don't feel like doing nothing.
I know it's time to eat, shower, and go to bed. But
Correct.
it's interesting that you said that you knew people that were runners, because most of us don't have anyone that we got into the sport that they were doing it before us. So it's nice that you had someone that kind of brought you into the sport. I don't know what I'm saying.
I mean, actually, it was cool though, cause like my cousin Raquel, we graduated the same year, we the same age, and it's always like a competition with her. So when I first told her that I was gonna do one, she the one was telling me how far the marathon was, 26.2. So I was like, okay, forget that. That's out the window. I'm not doing 26.2 miles. So we was like a half marathon. So I went to her house, and she was showing me a training plan that she had done, and this and that. Me being me, I'm like, I'm not running that many days a week. I said, I'm gonna run 3 days a week, and that's gonna be that. So I guess because I wasn't taking none of her advice, she kind of like challenged me to be able to beat her fastest marathon time. And then it kind of started from there. And
Wait, so you got into running and your first race was a half marathon?
No. Like, I looked at like the training plan she had. It had you build up, like, I think you train like 3 weeks and then do a 5K and then I look for a 10K, and then a half marathon after that.
Okay. So did you eventually join any clubs or teams?
Yeah, actually, like after I done my first 5K, one of the people that was a friend of mine that she was running, when she saw that I done the 5K, she took me down to BMR run group. So I ran with BMR guys here in Little Rock for a little while. But with my hours, it's pretty much always solo training for me.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of sneakers are you running in right now?
Nike.
Boo.
Nike. Listen.
Well, which model? Which model? Don't tell me it's those $250 make you run super fast shoes.
Those are races only. I don't train in those, but I'll train in like the Zoom Fly. They kind of similar to the Vaporfly. The closest you're gonna get to them, except the cushioning is different. So I train in the Zoom Flies, and since I started training them, I ain't had no problem with my Achilles, no plantar fasciitis, none of that. Now I got the Zoom Flies and then like the Turbo Pegasus. They got the 4% cushioning in it, the Zoom X foam, and they're a lot softer. So I kind of mix that in like 1 or 2 days a week.
Now, I'm not switching teams, but I do hear what is up with this Zoom Fly? Why is everyone running in these sneakers? What's so special about them?
To me, it's the cushioning. And, if you do a marathon, when you hit 18, 20 miles, your body's starting to stress. And it's really from all the pounding. So that Zoom X cushioning is so, it just breaks, it eliminates a lot of the stress. Because, I used to run in Adidas. Like, when I was in New York, I came to the Adidas.
Home team.
I came to you remember, I was at y'all little Adidas run.
Yes,
I ran New York in Adidas Tempo 9. When I got finished, walking through Central to the hotel room, took my shoes off. My feet were bleeding, like my toenail. I had blood on my socks or whatever.
What?
So, but I was anti-Nike though. Like I started out in the ASICs. I ran through the ASIC series. Everybody was like, "Man, you need a lighter shoe. You'll go a lot faster." So I got a lighter shoe. I went to Adidas, and then I had a pair of Zoom Flies that I bought, and I went back to running them because I had the Ultra Boost, and the Ultra Boost used to be, the cushion is great in the Ultra Boost, but for some reason, I started developing plantar fasciitis. I guess they was too soft of a shoe, so I ran in that shoe, and then I didn't have a problem, and then I drank the Kool-Aid and bought a pair of 4%. And man, once I ran a marathon in the 4%, I refused to run a marathon in any other kind of shoe.
Now, what's so special about those? Because I remember in New York City Marathon last year, everybody had on those sneakers. And I could hear them coming a mile away. It's like they were running on bricks. So are they heavy? Like, what is the deal with those sneakers?
No.
So why do they sound like that?
It depends on which ones you talk about. Like, if they heel striking, like I noticed, like mine, like to cut down on weight, like on the bottom of it, they cut up into the shoe to where it's kind of like a little suction cup in there. Mm-hmm. So if you heel striking, you can hear that pop. It'll like pop, pop, pop. I run on my 4 feet, but the biggest thing for me when I put them on was they light. They super, super light, and they super, super cushion. And it's just like it take one of the aspects of running a marathon out the window. You ain't got to be worrying about your feet hurting. Like that's what I hated about running a marathon.
That's what I hated too. I hated too.
Yeah.
Like mine, the bottom of my feet like always hurt. Even when I walk in regular shoes for a long time, the bottom of my feet after like 5 hours, it hurts. But back to those next percent. Okay, so everyone got them because this will make you run faster?
Yeah, they say you're supposed to run 4% more efficient, and that can depend on the runner and the way you foot strike and all that. But I think, I think for a marathon, anybody can benefit from just if nothing else, the cushioning and the lightweight of them.
Well, let me tell you, in New York City, I start in wave 3, in the back of wave 3. And all of those people, they were right back there with me, and we were running the same pace. So I don't know how beneficial it is to wear those sneakers, but
they recover faster. Like you recover way faster. Like the next day, you're not hurting as much as you would be if you didn't have them on.
I'm gonna have to take your word for it because this girl is not spending $250 on a pair of sneakers. That's just never gonna happen.
Trust me, trust me, trust me. I mean, actually, they had like the 4% on sale when they came out with the newer next percent. You might be able to find a pair of 4% for like $187 now.
That's too much. That's too much. My limit is $100. I'm not spending more than 100, and that's a lot. $100 is the max I'm spending on a pair of sneakers.
Hey, worth it. I promise you. I was just like you. I was anti Nike. I can remember running Chicago Marathon, and I'd be like, I counted everybody I passed that had on a pair of 4% because I was like, you got 4%, so I'm gonna beat you. So I'm counting people as I passed them, and then I think it was after that race that I finally broke down and said, I'm gonna try them out. And once I tried them, I would never run a marathon in another pair of shoes.
So how many pair do you have?
I got 2 pair of the 4%, and then I got 2 pair of the next percent. And I hadn't ran in the next percent yet because all the races are canceled.
Speaking of canceled races, what did you have on your schedule for 2020? That's no longer happening.
For 2020 was supposed to be a good year for me. I mean, I had it set up to where I was supposed to finish my 6-star races. So I was supposed to finish all the world majors. I had Tokyo and London was the last 2 I needed. So I had Tokyo, London, Boston, just all these races. And I can remember, like at the beginning of the year, I was at that same cousin house, and she was like asking me where was I going this year, because she always, you know, see all my posts about when I go to different places for runs. And she was like, I was telling her Tokyo, I said, I'm going back to Japan. And she was like, are you crazy? You see they got the coronavirus over there? And I was like, man, I said, they don't have that many cases in Japan, so I don't think they're going to cancel the race. And I was like, if they don't cancel the race, I'm going. And then, like 2 weeks later, they canceled the race. And I remember texting her and told her she jinxed me.
Listen, I didn't think Tokyo would be canceled. I don't think we thought any of this would be canceled. You know, especially Tokyo was like, so when was that? March? Early March?
February. Yeah.
And that was in February. So just crazy. So how did you get in? Did you get in by lottery, or did you like pay the fundraising fee?
I did the fundraising fee. It was crazy because I went to Tokyo last year and I was supposed to do it last year, but I was like, man, I'm not doing the charity. I'm gonna try my luck with the lottery. Didn't get in. So this time I was like, I'm not gonna chance it. I'm just gonna pay the money, finish it up, and be done with it.
Yeah, that was my plan for next year, to pay the fee, but I think they increased it already. And
for real?
Yeah, and it was so, like 2 years ago, it wasn't as hard to get in with paying that fee as it was last year, because so many people want to do the World Majors now. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to wait a few years to do Tokyo.
How many times have you traveled?
I did the lottery, I think 3 years in a row now.
Wow.
So yeah.
No, I just asked that because they say like it's easier for American women, especially American women to get in because there's so few Japanese women that run it, and it was like a lot of times it's easier for the women to get in through the lottery. Like I know 2 people that got in through lottery.
Well, I've been trying, and I have no luck. And I was trying before it got like super popular, and just I don't know. We'll see what happens. So speaking of international races, I know you went to South Africa. Was that last year? 2019?
Yep. Last July.
So do you have a goal of doing the 7 continents as well? No?
I don't want to go to no Antarctica.
That's how I feel too.
I don't want to go to Antarctica, and I definitely don't want to pay that type of money to go to Antarctica.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah. Nah.
Like you can buy a nice car with the money that it costs to run Antarctica and freeze your butt off.
Yeah, you can buy a nice car, a nice down payment on a house. I mean, I can do a lot of stuff with that type of money. I can buy time.
What was it, like $17,000?
It's expensive. I know that. And it's just not accommodating. You're not going to no beach. You're going to be freezing cold. And I thought it was pretty cool watching everybody do it, but that's just not something I would
Me,
want to do.
me either. I'll take a hard pass on that. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about the Africa trip. What made you want to do that race? How did you get into it? Tell me about it.
When I first started running, I had always said I thought it would be pretty cool to go to Africa and do, a marathon or, some type of race in Africa, because that's where we from, and that's where the best runners are from. That's where the best marathoners anyway, distance runners. So I always thought that would be cool to check that out, and then to do it with a group of people better. At first I didn't want to do it, but then I kind of got to it, and all the places I've been, that's probably the most, ain't no probably to it, that's the best trip wise I've had. It's just a different feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different feeling to go somewhere to where, like and you're not just standing out in the crowd, So it was pretty cool. Even at the race, the race was just all it was some it was white people that ran the race from different places. Like I chatted with some people from different places, and it was cool like that. But to see, after the after party after the race, all black people, and just visiting some of the places over there. Mm-hmm. So that's probably like the best trip I've ever been on, hands down.
Now, how is the race set up? Because I know I've traveled a lot and done races in other countries, and it's a little different than what it is here, but I imagine that South Africa might be totally different. So, like, do they have water stations? Like, how is their race set up there?
It was different. Like, actually, the race was in Zimbabwe. So the race was in Zimbabwe. And yes, they had water stations, but, going to Africa, they made you take all these shots. And they were saying don't drink the water and stuff like that. So I didn't really drink no water from the water stations until maybe like mile 18. At that point, I had a personal handheld water bottle, mm-hmm. But that thing went dry quick. And then, but not trying to drink water at the water stations, I kind of started cramping. So at that point, I was just kind of like, well, this is gonna be a fun run from here on out. So I was kind of walking, running. But it was hot. And once it got hot, I was like, look, I done took enough shots, whatever. Next to the water station I get to, I'm drinking water. So the water stations, they didn't have like cups or whatever, and they didn't have like water bottles. They had these little packets. So mm-hmm. It's like a plastic packet, and you either tear it open with your mouth or bust it open and squeeze the water out, and water come out.
Yeah, like that's how it is in the Caribbean too. They have those packets.
Yeah, the little packets. So that was different. And then like, for this race, they didn't have a timing match. Like, they had a timing match at the start and at the finish, but at all the checkpoints, they had officials there, calling out numbers, and the other person would be writing. So they had, like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 checkpoints. And instead of going over a mat, they would just call out your number, and the person would write it down. So that was kind of different.
But how did they keep the time then?
Your chip, I believe the bib had a timer in it, like the little chip in the bib, but they only had a mat at the start line and at the finish line.
Oh, okay. So you didn't have to start and the finish time.
Yeah, so you had a chip time on the start and on the finish, but the in-between spots, they would do it by sight, mm-hmm. Call out your number and they write it down.
Okay. Now, people listening at home and watching this on YouTube, don't let Phillip psych you out with saying that it was a fun run after mile 18, because he's fast as hell, and his idea of a fun run is probably a 7-minute mile. So wait, what's your fun run pace?
Just whatever.
Don't make me throw up your stats on the screen. What's your fun run pace?
Seriously, like whatever I feel comfortable at during that time. I run with people that run 8-minute pace. 7.5, you can be a fun run, but most of the time, 8 minutes. Like I see a lot of people say easy run. Most easy runs should be around 7.5, 8.5. That's pretty easy.
I bet.
Yeah. So after that, like I say, once I cramped, it was just like, okay, it's a wrap. We're just gonna finish now. Mm-hmm. Walk, run, try to survive. And the race was on
it?
like it didn't. It started out cool, but once the sun got up, it got pretty warm, and that was their winter time. Like that's considered their winter, July. So I don't know. It seemed like it got up in the 80s. Had to be like once the sun got up, and then the race. I didn't realize it at the time, but the race was actually parts of the race go through a safari.
I saw the pictures. That looked dope.
Nah.
What? You had to wait for the animals to cross the street, right?
Stuff like that. I mean, I didn't see no. I saw like the monkeys or whatever, but I didn't see no elephants while I was running. Now, at one part of the race, like from mile like 21 to 23, it was on this street and it had like just brush on both sides of the street. And I promise, I was like, man, you a dummy. I'm like, you came all the way to Africa to get ate by a lion. For real, like.
So you saw a lion while you were running, or?
I didn't see a lion, but the day before, we was at the hotel in the gift shop, and I was asking one of the workers there about, lions and stuff like that, and he was like, yeah, it's lions. Because he was saying, like, where we stayed at, not too far from there, he was like, you could walk down there, and at the end of the day, you could pretty much all of the big five, which mean buffalo, the cats, the lion, the leopard, and the elephant, stuff like that. So he was like, you'll see that right down the street from here at a certain time of the day. And then I asked him about the lion, and he was like, you really want to see the lion because they kind of like the ambush prey. So he said, they be there. He said, but you don't see them. They kind of like in the bush. So at this part of the race, I'm kind of like, I'm by myself. And I passed one of them water stations where I got the packets at, and I'm walking. And one of the guys at the station was yelling at me. I'm like 200 meters away now. He telling me, don't walk. He's saying, keep going, keep running. And I'm like, why do he not want me walking? Now, during the race, they got like people with the walkie-talkies. They got the helicopter up trying to spot the animals and see where they are. And I guess they relay information back. So at one point, I'm thinking maybe he want me to run because there's some animals in the area that I don't need to be walking. So at this point of the race was the first time I don't see nobody coming, nobody going, no vehicles. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. So I started back jogging, and now I'm hearing stuff out in the brush. Like I'm hearing like animals moving through the brush. And with the elephants, you can hear the elephants and you can tell when they moving, it sounds a little different because it's higher because they're so big. Mm-hmm. So you can tell when it's an elephant moving, and you can tell when it's a smaller animal. So I'm hearing that rumbling in the bushes, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna came all the way to Africa to get snatched up by a lion.
That's crazy. Look,
I would never run that race again.
You done turned me off from running to Africa just from that story alone.
Nah. I'm serious. Like Roosevelt Giles, he do races over there all the time, and he do like this one race over there called the Big Five race, and they running through safaris, and I'm like, man, ain't no way. And I'm watching his live, and he's saying, well, yeah, the park ranger say all the lions are on the other side of the park today. I'm like, how do he know they all over there? Mm-hmm. Nah. They got races over there you can do, like the race in Cape Town. It's in the city, and you ain't got to worry about no lions there. But like some of them races where they go through like a safari type deal, y'all can have them.
Those we're gonna pass on.
I'm gonna pass on them. Y'all can have them.
So you're a Boston qualified runner, and you've ran the Boston Marathon. How many times have you done it?
I only ran it in 2018, and then I was supposed to run it this year, but canceled.
Now you ran in the monsoon of 2018. The
monsoon, the blizzard, the sub-zero, whatever you want to call it.
Now, how was that?
That's the hardest race I ever done. Like that day, everything that could have happened. Everything, like the rain, the wind, the cold. I kind of like I actually started having hypothermia around like mile 18, and I got right past 19, and that's when I had to go to the medical tent. And I was in there for like
that.
Yeah. I mean, because I didn't know what was happening. I had never had hypothermia. Like, I just kept feeling like my muscles were starting to cramp. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm cramping because I'm running. And I'm like, I never have a problem with cramping. But once it hit and I got to the medical tent, they started telling me take off all my clothes, and I'm like, what? Then they was like, well, take off all the clothes you can. So, and I'm just shaking, shivering. So yeah, so they was like, you know, they have the van to come take us all back to the start line and stuff like that.
Wait, what?
They trying to. Yeah,
what mile was this?
This was like right at mile 20. It was past 19. It was right at 20. It was maybe like 200 meters from mile 20, matter of fact. Because when I did start back running, I remember hitting mile 20 like 200 meters from there. So yeah, so when I first got in there, they was trying to tell me to take off all my clothes. They gave me a warm, dry towel to dry off. They had like chicken broth in there to drink to try to warm people up. And actually, I was just trying to let somebody know what was going on and if they could bring me something dry to put back on. Because when I got in there and they started talking about they had a van to take us back to the start line, I was like, nah, I'm not. I mean,
I didn't get this far to turn back. Shoot.
Yeah, I don't, because you don't get a medal. You don't get a finish medal or nothing. So you went to Boston and you got a DNF. I'm like, nah, unless y'all know how to fight real good, I'm finishing the race. I just need to warm up. But that's the actual, Galen Rupp was in that tent. That's where he pulled out the race.
I remember you said that. You posted about that on Facebook, right?
Yeah, he was in the tent. He was like right across from me. But at the time, I'm not really tripping. I'm trying to stop shaking.
Mm-hmm.
But then they was like, don't feel bad. Even the elites are having problems. Galen Rupp, they had moved him at that time to like where they had different sections. So they had like sections with the heaters set up and all that. So they had moved him over and then somebody else come in and they was just kind of rotating up. But there was people in there crying because they weren't going to be able to finish. This and that. I'm like, man, I'm going to finish. I'm doing some dry socks. And I grabbed a poncho from I grabbed like a clear little poncho from the medical tent. And then I went back out there. But, I mean, it was crazy.
And with all of that, what was your finish time?
It's crazy because I just saw that somewhere. 5:20 something.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were in there for a minute.
Yeah, I was there for like 2 hours. Like I'll go back on my Garmin and I can look and see how long I was inactive. And I was like inactive for like an hour and 51 minutes or something. But after that, I went to this church to meet a friend of mine that had some dry socks. So I had started back moving, but I wasn't actually racing. So I was on pace to finish around 3 hours. Give or take a little bit.
That I remember watching that year and following everybody, and I knew that I would have quit. Anyone who finished Boston in 2008, and it was cold too, right?
Yes, very cold.
It was freezing. It was raining the whole entire time, and I did one race like that. It was a New Jersey marathon, but it was like in May. But, you know, it was cold that time too. And I was supposed to do the full, but I did the half instead. And I could never warm back up. And I'm the type of person that doesn't like to be cold. So I know if I was in that situation, I probably would have got a DNF in Boston.
Nah, you would have finished. You'd have been like, nah, I'm going to finish.
Man,
I ain't come out this way to not finish.
That's especially if you were like a fundraiser, you raise all that money and you go to Boston a DNF.
Yeah, that is. I mean, unless your body just break all the way down and you just can't do it, then yeah, you were gonna finish that race. And it was cool though, cause you had people that still cheering. I mean, the first people that came to help me was people that was on the side with the umbrellas and stuff, and they tried to keep me dry, keep the rain on until they got there with the stretcher.
Did you see this year that for Boston, a lot of the charity runners, they're not being rolled over to 2021? And they want them to raise what they raised before, plus like 25 to 50% more for next year.
Wow.
It's like
that's really not fair. I mean, they can just increase the size of the field. I don't know these spots, but if somebody raised that type of money to run the race and then it's just canceled, you know, you gotta compensate them in some kind of way.
Well, the problem is that the charities only get X amount of spots. So they have to, you know, if they automatically roll people over, then they lose their fundraising money for that year, which I can understand, but it's still not fair to the runners that raise all that money, like $10, $12, $15,000 to get into Boston, and you get nothing out of it.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, the people that raise the money, hey, their money accounted for them good. They should roll them over, not take away from their charity spots, but automatically put on top of whatever it is next year for the field. So, I mean, for next year, maybe it'll be the biggest Boston field ever. They could do that. I mean,
they're gonna have to do something, because people are gonna listen. It might be protests and riots in the street.
Yeah, that's just not.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so let's get into your pyramid challenge, which I have named because you didn't have a name for it, so I gave a name for it. So let's talk the King's Pyramid Run Challenge. That's what we're going to call it. So Tell me about this challenge.
Man, it was just a way for me to get in some miles. Because basically I was getting ready for all the races I had coming up. I had ran Miami. And I come up a little short on my goal time there, but I knew I had Tokyo after that. And then after they canceled Tokyo, it was like, what am I running for? You know, there's no need in training. And so when I went back and looked at my mileage for the month of February, which included the race in Miami, and I looked, and I had like 46 miles total for the whole month. And then I look at March and I got like 48, 49 miles. So I'm like, 2 months, I ain't ran 100 miles. And I was like, I was trying to get myself back motivated, and I just was trying to come up with a way to do it. And the thing about it, I follow a guy out of Atlanta on IG, Tommy Daniels, and he had posted about he was doing a 10K a day for like 10 days or 6 days, something like that. But I was following him and I watched him make all his posts, and I thought about that. But for me to do something, I got to be challenged. Like if it's something I know I can do, I ain't gonna have no interest in it. So I thought that was cool, so I was just trying to come up with a way to a challenge, something I have to work for. So first I thought, well, maybe I run like whatever day of the month is, I run that in miles. And then I got to thinking about, well, once I get to 20, yeah.
No.
No, I'm not gonna do that. But actually, somebody did do a challenge like that. Once I started my challenge, I looked and I seen somebody that was doing something that they run whatever day of the month is, they run it in mileage. But that wasn't for me. Nah. So then I just said something about, I don't know, I just started writing stuff down on paper. And I was like, well, maybe I can do the number in miles and days. So I started looking at that. And at first I was going to try to go to like 15 or something like that. But then when I got to adding up how many days that was going to totally be, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that either. So 10 was, it's a good, nice round number. And the days was like 55 days. And for me, that's a challenge because I've never ran more than 7 consecutive days. So to have to run 55 days, 385 miles, that's a lot of miles for me.
That's a lot of miles for anyone.
Well, some people run a lot of miles. Some people...
Okay, so let me break down the challenge for those of you listening. So he did 1 day of 1 mile, two days, 2 miles, 3 days, 3 miles, 4 days, 4 miles, and so on. So by the time he got to the end of the challenge, he ran 10 consecutive days of 10 miles. So this challenge was 55 days, and you did 385 miles over those 55 days.
Yep.
So
probably a little more, because in the beginning I was doing a little bit more. Like I'd stop my watch at 2, but I would keep running.
So you
probably a little bit more.
So you had a base already. So you basically just went out and started running the miles. But how did you recover from running all of those miles, those days in a row?
It's crazy because when you do something like that, then you realize what some of the like running coaches or programs will tell you to do, like find a softer surface to run on, or, run easy on certain days. So that was kind of like a recovery for me. Like once it got up to maybe like 7 miles, and that's when I had to come off the street and start running like on the track to where it's softer. And that helped out a lot, running on the track. So
after mile 7, you ran the miles on the track?
Most of my days after I got to like level 7, I was doing most of those miles on the track. I would do them sometimes on the street or if I was at a run trail, but most of my runs after that was on the track. But by then, my body I could feel it if I ran on the street more than like 2 nights in a row, especially with the job I got. You know, we on our truck on and off all day. So yeah, I had to go to the track to be able to finish them 55 straight days.
And you know, people think I'm crazy when they'll see me like throw up double digits on the track, but I love running on the track. I like running around and around in a circle. I have whatever I need. It's right there on the side when I need it. I don't have to carry anything. So, and it feels good to run on the track because the surface is softer. You don't get that, you know, constant banging and impact. So,
and it's level, so you can pretty much, you know what I'm saying, work on your form. You don't have to worry about traffic. You can kind of zone out and just relax, focus on the run. I could do a marathon on track if they put one on.
Listen, we're not going to take it that far.
I've definitely done half marathons on the track before. I think the most miles I've done on the track was like 16.
Yeah, I've done up to 15.
Yeah, I've done 16, I think, once. The cool thing for me, though, like where I live at, you know how, like, if you run from your house, you know distance and different routes. So for me, from my house to one of the tracks that I run on is like a little over 4 miles. So I can run to the track, jump on the track and do like 6 and then run back to the house, you know, and I'll get 14 miles or 20 miles, however I set it up. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I actually mix it up.
That's good. So I've seen people bootlegging, alternating, taking over your challenge. Well, what would you call it? Modifying?
Yeah, to me it's cool because it's really just like I did it to motivate myself to get out and do runs, especially now with no races. So, you know, when I first started doing it, I was like, I'm gonna post it every day, and that way it'll hold me accountable. You know what I'm saying? Because now, you know, I'm putting it out there, so people gonna expect certain things. So after the first couple of days, some people that was like, okay, this cool. Like I know Roy Harris from Atlanta. He said he was gonna try it out. And once he got to like the 3s, he was saying he might take a day off at the end of each number. So, I mean, and then I seen people that said, "Hey, I'm gonna do it up to 7. I'm not gonna be able to run 8 miles for 8 days, 9 for 9, 10 for 10, but I'll take it up to 7." And so now I'll see it and I'll be like, "Wow, I didn't know you were doing it." And they be like, they like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go up to 7." So it ain't necessarily bootlegging. It's just they see it. It's a way to motivate them to get out and get some miles, man. So it's pretty cool to me. I seen where one lady, she commented on one of my friends posted doing it right now, and what she did was she took it and done it backwards. So she doing 10 miles for 1 day, 9 miles for 2 days, 8 miles for 3 days, and then she'll finish with doing 1 mile a day for 10 days.
Okay, so all of you bootleggers that are taking over Phillips' challenge, I'm gonna need y'all to give him credit. # King's Pyramid. Okay, we're gonna start hashtagging King's Pyramid on IG, Twitter, Facebook, and you're gonna get your credit because I even saw I forgot the girl's name, but she did like through day 5. So it was like, you know, 1 day of 1 mile, 2, 3, 4, and through 5. And I'm like, I think that I could probably do that through day 5. That's like a good goal to have if you don't want to run like a ton of miles.
Yeah, I mean, actually, man, you get faster doing it. At least I did. I felt like it made me a faster runner, and it was crazy because it was days where I thought like I was like, when I get to this level, my body gonna be burnt. But it was actually like I hit a level, and I might be tired for a day, and if I just bag off the pace a little bit, and then the next day I get out there and I just start running, and then next thing I know, my mileage are hitting. It'd be like 6:50, first mile, 6:15 again. I'm like, man, this feels pretty easy. Mm-hmm. So Or I would get like, I'm gonna wait till the last time and see what I got left. And I could run a sub 6-minute mile for the last mile after running 40 some days straight, 9 miles that day, and then clock a 5:20 mile, the last mile. It was like, okay, I'm gonna have to use this again whenever racing do start back, just as part of my training or whatever.
Yeah. So you worked throughout the whole pandemic. So you didn't, I mean, this is like a good challenge for people that were not running the entire time. Like for me, I didn't run for like March, April. I ran like maybe 1 or 2 days a week, maybe usually like 1 day a week. So, you know, I kind of came up with a little challenge myself, which is only like to run 100 miles this month, which is not a lot for some, but it's a lot for me because I only run like 3 miles a day, 3 times a week, which is not a lot. You know, I just do the bare minimum to kind of stay in shape. But I think your challenge is like a good way to get people motivated to get back into running because it's hard. We don't have anything to train for right now.
Yeah, like you don't have a goal. You don't know when you're going to have a concrete race to do. And I mean, so yeah, it's definitely a way to motivate me to get in some miles because I was like you say, I was one of them people that I was like, if I ain't got a race, I ain't gonna fucking run. Even when I have races, I mean, it's rare for me to run 100 miles in a month.
So what's on your schedule for the rest of the year? Were you registered for any other races?
I had registered to pace a couple of races. I had thought about doing New York in November, and just trying to for me it's like goal, like I got like time in my head I want to hit, so I was gonna like look up races to do to try to see if I could PR or hit my goal time or whatever. But as of right now, I mean, I've looked at a couple of races that they sound like they out in Utah that pretty much should happen. So I've looked at some of them. The problem with them, they are like a downhill race. I don't know if I want to do a downhill. Them downhill races beat your body up pretty good. So,
well, I haven't really announced this anywhere yet, but I'm an ambassador for the Route 66 marathon. Have you heard of it?
In Oklahoma?
Yeah, so they're pretty confident that the race is going to happen because they're like pretty much open. So
what's the date?
It's October. No, it's November. Hold on.
November.
Let me get the exact date. So it's November 21st to the 22nd. It's like a whole, weekend. They have the marathon and a half on Sunday, and then they have like a 5K, 10K on Saturday.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, I have a coupon code. It's Straight Kim 2020. I think, or 2020 Straight Kim.
See, I was gonna wait till we got off record to ask you for the hookup.
Okay, I'll put the coupon code on the screen and I'll leave it down below. It's either Straight Kim 2020 or 2020 Straight Kim. I can't remember. But I mean, if things open back up and it's okay to travel, I'll probably do the Route 66 marathon in Oklahoma. How far is that from you?
Oh, I can drive to that one. That's probably like 3 hours.
Oh, so that's perfect.
Yep. Have you done that race before?
No, this would be my first year. I saw it last year. I was like, this is looks like a pretty dope race. So, yeah. I'm an ambassador this year.
So you're an ambassador for a race you've never raced?
No. Races are looking to like diversify their ambassadorship. So hence me and a couple of other brown folks that are on the team now. So we'll see. It should be fun. I'm gonna try. I'm trying. I don't want people to register for a race that's not going to happen. So I really haven't been putting it out there like that. I'm trying to wait and see how things go. But for now, it's a go. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, cause see, I'm definitely one of them people. I sign up for a race the day of the race. Like I sign up. I've signed up for so many races like 10 minutes before the race starts. Fill out the paper and then run. I'm serious, especially if it's like a 10K or 5K. I'm not giving them my money that far out and then I don't end up running it. So
Listen, I've
But yeah,
learned my lesson now. I mean, this year, luckily, I didn't register for a lot of races. The only one that I've lost money on is Rock and Roll Seattle, which they haven't told us if it's postponed. I mean, it's obvious it didn't happen. It was 2 weeks ago, but they
yeah.
haven't given us a refund. They haven't said a new date, nothing. We're just like in limbo. But I know a lot of people have lost a lot of money on canceled races this year. So I'm being of that mindset. I'm not registering for a race until like the month of the race, not the day of,
Yeah.
not the day of, the month of the race. So were you doing the race just this year in Atlanta?
At first I was like, I might show up, and then that race is one I just drive the night before.
Uh-huh.
I've done that race 2 years in a row. Last year I just paced it, but both times I drove straight to the race, basically.
Well, they just sent out notice that it's canceled.
Did they? I hadn't
Canceled.
signed up for it. Yeah, I wasn't signed up for it, but I don't think no race is gonna happen. Like once Tokyo canceled, I knew Boston wasn't gonna happen. London, I knew they were gonna cancel, and then they supposed to let us know at the end of this week about what they're gonna do in October.
For London?
Not gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, because they just canceled a race in Wales that was the same day, a half marathon.
I do think London is gonna try to run the elite though.
I don't know what they're gonna do. It's just and you did charity for London, right? Or you got
no, I
lottery?
did. I knew somebody that gave me a spot from Marathon Tour.
Really? But I did charity for London, and my charity gave me a hard time about deferring. And
For real?
Oh yeah. And I know people that they haven't even deferred. So that's going to be a whole another episode in and of itself. I'm going to talk about that in detail. But yeah, a lot of charities, they don't want to defer people because they're losing their fundraising money for the next year.
I thought about that because I know, like, even with marathon tours, they ask us did we want to defer, because London put it out there, you could defer to 2021 or 2022, because a lot of people may not feel like traveling during this whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose not to. I was like, if they're gonna have the race, I'm gonna do it. So now I'm wondering, if they cancel the race in October, do I still get the option to defer? I passed it up the first time.
I don't know. Did you pay through Marathon Tours or for the race?
Yeah.
Directly to Marathon Tours or to London?
Through Marathon Tour.
I don't know what's going to happen because, New York City, for their races, you can either defer and pay again or get your money back, which it seems like that's the option for a lot of the big races. So I don't know what's going to happen.
If they cancel London, I just want my money back. They get my money back, they can have. I ain't really tripping, man. Like I think probably next year, whenever all this stuff over with, I'm gonna start running some of the smaller races anyway. Some of the bigger races is cool, to be around the excitement and the people, but it's just it ain't what they charge you for. It ain't that serious.
And once you've been doing it for a while, it kind of loses its luster. You have your favorites that you always come back to. But yeah, I feel the same way. I'm going to try to do between running the states, like more local races with local companies who donate money to good causes.
Yeah.
But before we go, I want to ask you what's like the feeling like in Arkansas right now, where you are, like with the Black Lives Matter movement, with the death of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd. What's going on there?
It's definitely protests. I mean, it's definitely something they talking about. It's crazy because most white people like shocked at the level of racism in the country. So the first thing they'll want to say, it seems like they want to get approval from somebody that's black that they not racist. Like the first thing they do, they want to talk to somebody that's black about it. And of course, they'll talk against it. They not for that. And it's almost like the first thing they want to do is kind of clear their own conscience, which I mean, if you're not speaking out, I mean, even if you never use the N-word, if you've been around somebody, one of your friends that use the N-word when describing somebody black, and you don't correct that person, then you part of the problem.
Exactly.
You part of the problem. So, I mean, I think things are definitely going to change. I think a lot of people have been woken up, and I think it's a lot of people that's really not like racist like that may or not knew it was at that level because they don't deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though they're not racist, they still so-called white privilege to where, you know, when they get pulled over by the police, it's going to be a whole different set of circumstances once that officer comes to their window. Where so when he come to my window, he see me as a black male, I fit the description. Even though it may not be a crime that went on, his dealings with black males is gonna be negative. So when he first see me, he gonna see that I'm a black male, and his attitude and his thought process is gonna be negative. So it's not my job, but the first thing I do is automatically try to make a connection with this officer to where he know that I'm not a threat. Cause like, that's the problem. Like a white officer pull over a white male or a white female, and when that officer pull that person over, that white officer sees his brother, he sees his son, his daughter,
Mm-hmm.
his sister. So when he pulled me over, if he don't have no interaction with black people outside of work, and the only action he had with a black person at work is when you picking up somebody for a warrant or a drug arrest or it's been a shooting, and so his attitude might be negative just because of that. So the first thing I do is try to make some type of connection with him and let him know I'm not a threat. Like I run at night, and like I would run at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. and be out running. And I see police all the time. Like in the area I live in, it's patrolled pretty heavy. And a lot of people don't even like coming to Sherwood because of that. But I have never had really like a problem. Like it was like one time I was at the school on the track running about 2 o'clock in the morning, and the police was in the parking lot, and I saw them behind my car with the lights and stuff. And so I was on the track, and I put my phone up with the light on to let them know, hey, I'm on the track. And he called for backup. And when I got off the track, he was there, and I'm soaking wet.
He called for backup.
Yeah. Oh, Sherwood, that's like protocol here. They never pull you over one. It's always 2 cops. Never gonna get pulled over by one. It's just a safety thing for them, I guess. So when I come off the track, you know, he asked me what was I doing. I'm like, running. I mean, I'm sweating.
Look, you have the same story that Derek told on this show 3 weeks ago. He said a cop came up to me, asked him what he's doing. He's like, I'm in my running clothes. I'm sweating. I was running. Like, what do they think you were doing?
I don't know. So then he asked to see my ID and stuff, and I'm like, it's in the car. You know, I can get it out for you. And then I got my ID out, and while they were running the ID, I think I took a selfie in front of his cop car with the lights on and stuff. But I mean, it was cool. But see, now when they see me, they ask me like, what race are you training for?
Mm-hmm.
Or they be like, man, I just saw you way up in town. Now you way back out here. I was like, yeah, I got a marathon coming up, blah, blah, blah. And then they be like, wow. So it's kind of cool now. So now when I see them, it's like they'll flash the lights or they'll give me the sign because they know I run in late at night.
That's because they know you now. But the next black man that might not be too happy to get approached by an officer when he's just running, you know, getting his fitness on, you know, the outcome might be different, which is... It might.
But see, I'm hoping if they have an interaction with me and the interaction with me is pleasant, then maybe the next black guy they have an interaction with, it'll be... So, I mean, I look at it like that too.
Is that
now,
a
I'm gonna
house
tell you
phone?
what. No, that's my baby girl calling. Look, she gonna say, "Where you at, Daddy?"
Wait, your cell phone has a house phone ring as the ringtone?
Nah. Well, it does, but it's hooked up to my speaker. I was listening to some music.
Mm.
But I got a beef with you, man.
What did I do?
All right, when I got the level 10 of the challenge, I went to the track. I'm running at the track, and I'm listening to a podcast where you was talking about this. You was talking about running while black.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the track, and I'm zoned out, and I get sprayed by a skunk.
I read that story.
And I was listening to the podcast where you had James on, you had the other guy from Black Runners Connection.
Devon.
And it was a lady on there. And I'm like, I'm just zoning out because I'm listening to everybody's experience. And I get like a little bit past mile 1 and I see something, like I feel something brush up against if you run on the track, your left leg is gonna be on the inside of the track. So I feel something brush up against my left foot, and immediately I'm looking down, and by that time I look down, I see something black with a white stripe, and then my right foot goes right up under it. And at that point, I'm knowing what it is, so I just kind of hurdle and just shoot off. And by that time, I could smell it, and I'm like, dang, I got sprayed by a skunk. So I run a little bit more, and I didn't smell it. And by the time I make the other lap, when I get back around where the incident happened, I could smell it again. I was like, okay, maybe because he sprayed over here. And I got my phone out, so I flipped my light on the track, and I didn't see it no more. So eventually, I just kept running. And then towards the end, I was like, I wonder if he got me or if I was moving fast enough. And I stopped running. I walk off the track, and then the smell just hit me.
That's gross. Wait, I forgot what happened. Did you get in a car with your funky clothes? You took
Nah.
Took them off.
I took my clothes off. Like I drove to the house in my underwear. I tied my shoes up and hung them out the car with my socks. And I brought my shoes back in the house. Now they smell free, but the socks still smell like it. So
you could throw those out, you know.
Yeah, I probably will. But
okay.
Yeah, it's all your fault. I got to blame it on somebody.
Look, the show was that good. It had you in the zone. So you're welcome. Okay, last question before we go. How does a young fella from Arkansas become an Eagles fan? Because I see that old ugly Eagles hat in the background and you're wearing an Eagles shirt. How the heck does that happen?
Man, like I say, I grew up in Newport, which is northeast corner of the state, and they got a college not too far from there, Arkansas State. And Fred Bournet was a star receiver at Arkansas State, and he ended up going to Philadelphia and playing. Also, Keith Jackson was from Little Rock, and he ended up playing there.
I don't know who any of those people are.
Well, you probably don't. Well, do you know who Randall Cunningham is?
No.
Randall Cunningham was one of the first black quarterbacks in the league. He was Michael Vick before Michael Vick. And they was one of the few teams that had a black quarterback. So, and everybody at my school, Dallas Cowboys fans. So I didn't want to go with the crowd. I had to go against the grain, so to speak. So I became an Eagles fan.
Well, Dallas is closer to Arkansas than
Yeah.
Philly.
Yeah, it's closer to Arkansas. Jerry Jones is from Arkansas. And everybody here was Cowboys fans except for me. I was with the Phillies. They had the brothers on their squad that I knew. So I stuck with it. No, and also I forget, like maybe like 9th grade we had to do a school project, and we had to write like 3 different sports franchise letter, and I wrote Philadelphia a letter, and they sent me the most stuff back. They sent me a whole lot of stuff back, and so I thought that was pretty cool also. So I've been a fan ever since.
So when the Eagles come to New York and play the Jets or the Giants, they both suck, whichever one.
We always win.
But I'm going to make sure that I go to that game, and I'm going to take a picture and send it to you.
I tell you what, we're going to make a bet when the Eagles play the Jets or the Giants. I know we're playing the Giants this year. I don't know if we're playing the Jets, but if we play the Giants, we'll make a bet. I have to come up with something.
Listen, I don't bet. I like to. Ooh, no. Mm-mm.
It'll be a friendly way.
That's a losing bet right there. Listen, I vote for the home team all the time. New York Knicks, they suck, but they're the home team. The Nets, they're the home team. I'm down for the home team, but I'm not wagering anything.
Nothing.
No.
Not even a candy bar.
Nothing.
A Gatorade.
chill. I like Gatorade and candy bars.
See, we could bet a blue Gatorade. If the Giants win, I got to send you a blue Gatorade. And
Okay,
the
wait.
Eagles
So
win,
wait. When are they playing? If they play.
You want me to look the schedule up?
Yeah.
Let me see. Find the schedule real quick. I want to say we play in October. Maybe like the first meeting.
Okay, so here's the wager. If they play in October and New York wins, I got you for a spot for the New York City Marathon.
It's gonna be canceled.
If it's not canceled.
Okay. I'll take that.
If I win, you have to pay for my registration for what's that race with the big
The Little Rock Marathon?
yes.
Okay. Bet.
You heard it here first, people.
Okay, bet. That's a bet. But can I modify it just a little bit?
What, you want 2021?
No. Like, if they cancel it, can we just roll it over to the Brooklyn half? Because you know I've never done the Brooklyn half.
I got you for the Brooklyn half.
Okay,
I got
that's
you.
a bet. That's a bet. That's a bet. I even throw in the because you know Little Rock they got the challenge medal too. So if you do like the marathon.
Wait, hold up. I'm not doing the marathon. I'm doing the half.
Okay, so
Half
they got
marathon.
you can do the half and like the 5K. If you do both, you get an extra medal. I'll make sure I get you signed up for that.
That I can do.
All right, that's a bet.
It's a bet.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
All right. So I want to thank Mr. Philip King for being on the show. It was so good to have you on. Let our listeners know your socials so they can go follow you and see what you're up to with your running and your family. He has wait, hold up. What's your status? Are you single, in a relationship?
I'm single.
He's single, ladies. You heard it here first. He is single and ready to mingle. So what's your social? What's your Instagram?
Instagram is pking76, pkingduck76. So
Like the food?
yeah, it's kind of like it's a long story. It's a nickname from high school. It's a nickname my high school football coach gave me. So when I was registering for Instagram, there's a bunch of Philip Kings, and I couldn't get nothing to stick. So I said, P-King76. So, well, P-King-Duck76.
Okay, so he's P King Duck 76. I'm gonna leave his info below. Slide into his DMs.
Nah.
He's waiting for you ladies to hit him up.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so on Facebook it's just Philip King. And that's with one L.
Oh, you giving out the Facebook address too?
You said my social media page. That's all I got.
All right.
That's all I got.
All right. So thank you again, Philip, for being on the show. And I will see you guys on the next episode of the Runway Podcast. Later.
Peace.
Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Be sure to subscribe to The Runway on your favorite podcast app and leave us a review of the show on Apple Podcasts. It would really help me out. If you are a runner that has a story to tell and you would like to be on the show, you can email hello@therunwave.com or send us a DM on Instagram to The Runwave. See you next time.